Why did we start the Best Motorcycle Roads podcast? Just to encourage people to find great friends, go on multi-day trips, and it's just something you can't beat. Our goal at Best Motorcycle Roads is to make your next motorcycle trip the best it can be. So we had a question, Todd, that said, how did we start up? How did we come to be? And, the first thing I thought is just two guys, four wheels, a dream, and very many bad decisions, or three or four. But really, I think the first trip that you and I went on together would have been Memphis 2009, right?
Yeah.
So not our first official trip, but that would have been the first trip the BMR people were together, I guess.
I think that's the first time we called it
official. We always called it the Rubber Ducky Bike Tour.
Correct.
So Brad and I have a car wash together that's called the Rubber Ducky Car Wash. And so for whatever reason, that name stuck. We would just call it, we always meet at the car wash.
Because we meet there. Right.
And we try to leave from there. And so I think that's how it got called the Rubber Ducky Bike Tour.
Yep.
So,
Well, and then because of that, you also sponsored shirts every year.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's advertising, Todd.
Right.
But I mean, yeah. So, and then I think so that was 2009, and probably from 2009 or 10 through 2023, we were always saying we should do a podcast. And that's kind of, eventually we actually did.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the
finally.
That's kind of how it started. The BMR rides, I guess you might say, but that's not how it all began.
Well, no. I mean, we met in 88, actually, 1988. Right. So we've known each other for, what is that, 37, 38 years? That's a lot
of maths.
Excuse me. I came to Solon in 1988, fresh out of college, and I became the Solon High School band director. And you were a trumpet player.
Yep.
You were in your junior year in high school. And Brad was a drummer, and he was in his senior year of high school. And I came to Solon and didn't know anybody here. I was from Illinois. So you two guys kind of showed me around town a little bit. And you both were born here, grew up here. And
small town, Iowa thing,
right. Yeah, so we kind of got to know each other a little bit that way, and you like I said, you showed me around town, you made me feel at home, and when you guys went off to college, a year or two later, I kind of kept up with you, found out what everybody was doing, and I bought a motorcycle within that first year of teaching. It was probably like April or May of 1989, I would guess, that I bought a motorcycle. I bought a 1985 Honda Magna. It was like the 800cc.
Yeah.
Loved the bike, and Brad saw it and loved it too. And I've been a bad influence on Brad because he shortly after I bought one, he went out and bought one as well. Demo. So Brad got one.
And he usually doesn't listen, so we can talk bad about him.
So he bought one. He was in college actually at the time. And I don't know that we went on many rides or anything like that together. He was quite a long ways away at college, actually, down in Carbondale, Illinois. But I just remember that, I got to know you guys, from being in band, being the band director. And there's a couple of funny things I remember, especially about you. You always made me laugh. But we did a halftime show that was a Blues Brothers theme, and the whole band was dressed up in Blues Brothers with the hats and the ties and the jackets and white socks and all that kind of stuff. And right at the end of the show, after the last note, everybody cut off, and the Blues Brothers were always running from the law, so the whole band took off running across the field to exit, and I remember you just tripping and going head over heels.
I did not remember that.
And you picked it up and just kept right on running. It was so funny. And then another thing I remember is you played the lead in Fiddler on the Roof. You played the part of Tevye.
Yeah.
And so I was directing the pit orchestra. And we didn't really have a pit because it was
back in the day. We had the
it was a gym.
Gymnasium.
It was a gymnasium that had a stage
at the end,
like a
hole in the wall.
Yeah, like a hole in the wall stage. So, the stage was up there. I think we had a platform in front of that as well. But off to the side was where we had to have the pit orchestra, and then we just put a blinder so the audience couldn't see us, or a wall
shell,
up. Yeah. But you had to play Tevye without your glasses
Yeah.
on, and without your glasses, you need your glasses. So when it came time for you to sing your songs, and you would always look over at me, I was in the dark.
Yep.
You know, directing and so you couldn't see me. So I remember I had to get a little pen
flashlight.
flashlight,
It worked great,
and I directed with a pen flashlight so you could see the white tip, so you knew where to come in. Oh gosh, it was funny. And then you improv'd a couple of lines during the show, and it made the audience just roll laughing.
I do remember one time I picked up, we had like a cart.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to have like those milk jugs in the back. I picked them, they fell off. And then I'm like, and I went to pick them up, and then people were like, did you do that on purpose, or was that scripted? It's like, no. Oh my gosh.
So, I remember meeting your mom and dad back then, and just always kind of enjoying, you guys and your families and that. So that's how, we got started as friends. And then, like I said, I kept in contact with you guys during college. Actually, I think both you and Brad came to my first wedding, and I think I DJ'd. I DJ'd your wedding,
and
didn't I?
And you played too.
Did I play too?
Yeah, you played euphonium. Yep.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then the other thing that I remember about that time frame is we played a lot of ping pong.
Remember? Oh gosh, we played ping pong
all the time.
But we were competitive ping pong players back
then.
We
thought we were until we went to the vacuum cleaner shop.
You're right.
We thought we were really good. We went to I found a flyer that said, competitive ping pong players playing at the local vacuum place.
Yeah.
We went up there and just got our butts handed to us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm seriously not sure I scored 5 points on the whole night after like 10 games. And they're probably just like, what is going on? But
yeah.
And then Brad and I had met in high school, so we'd been kind of hanging out ever since. But so that was you guys' bikes. I don't think I ended up getting a motorcycle until probably 2004 or 5-ish. I bought it wasn't that old at the time, but 84 Nighthawk, but it was rode hard and put away wet, shall we say. And I didn't know anything about that then, and it had 4 carbs. Those all had 4 carburetors. Great bike, cool bike. And it just had carburetor problems the whole time I had it. So then I ended up buying something else. And I have a little habit, and I've had a couple of bikes over the time frames that we've had, so probably 10, but who's counting? So, but actually, I guess if you think about the Rubber Ducky Bike Tour part, our first big trip was 2007. I think we've talked about this in the past. Brad and I did a loop around Lake Michigan. 2008 was kind of the first, I call it, big trip down where Mike joined us. We went down to the Tail of the Dragon, and then the 2009 trip that we talked about earlier, Memphis. So that's kind of how it all began, I guess. And who the gang is kind of myself, you, Brad, Chris, who we'll talk about, and Mike. And then, there's people that have floated in and out over the years. And Turk is probably the only other consistently been around rider too. So, So maybe we just talk about each kind of one of those, just introduce them a little bit. Mike, he was in it from the 2008 Tail of the Dragon. So Brad and Mike both had, I think, V-Star 650s back then. And Brad and I met Mike probably over 20 years ago. But his first bike that he rode with us was a V-Star 650. And then I think Chris was when...
Chris joined in 2015 when we went to Tail of the Dragon another time,
Harley guy.
Yep, he's always had Harleys. I think his first one was a Road King.
I think, the first bike that he rode with us, Harley Road King.
Road King, I just remember it was so loud, we had to make him ride at the back of the...
Get back there. And you and him have been friends forever.
Oh, Chris and I have known each other since we were in college.
Yeah. So. And then Turk has been, like I said, in and out along the way. The first bike I remember him riding on one of the trips is a BMW 700. Those are a single cylinder. And I think he still regrets selling it. The thing got like 57 miles to the gallon. It was something amazing. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he was always worried about it. So. And then if we just think about, I don't know, memories of those things is kind of one of the things somebody seems to always have a big bag of Twizzlers.
Brad always has his trunk full of Twizzlers.
Somebody has always got a bag.
Yeah, and you're known for having like vacuum-packed meat and cheese, and... I
thought you were just going to say too many wires and electronics.
Oh, well, there's that, but I'm thinking snacks now, but... you've always got the cameras all mounted up and all that kind of stuff. But, I think we, everybody always brings snacks along the way, and when we get to little stops, everybody opens their trunks and everybody shares everything they have, and so that's
a little buffet.
It's a buffet of snacks. It is, yeah. So that's always a lot of fun. I remember the time I don't remember exactly where we were, but just as we were coming in for lunch and we stopped, your phone was ringing. So you picked it up and it was a scammer. And you went right into the act with them. And you had us all standing in the parking lot just laughing because you were just egging them on. They were like, there's something wrong with your computer. We need to get in. Oh, all right. Let me go turn it on for you. And then they were going to need gift cards. And you're like, all right, what kind of gift cards? What do I need to get you? And you had them on the line for at least a half hour.
Oh my gosh.
And we were just dying laughing. And then finally we were all getting hungry, and you were getting hungry. You're like, yeah, never mind. We're going
just
to eat.
hang up. They'll call back later. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we were in. I'd have to go look at the map on the town, but it was on that Tail of the Dragon ride. What it was, and Turk's headlight went out too, and we were looking for a headlight too. So I just remember that.
That happened to me once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened to me once too.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I guess those are just memorable stories, memorable things that we've done. But I guess we've had a couple challenges. Maybe, Mike had a flat tire in Nashville. I had a couple like weird things that happened, like my kickstand almost fell off one time, and my clutch switch went out, and I think the fender incident where the fender got all janked up and I couldn't.
That was crazy.
Turn my motorcycle, but I mean, those are the fun stories, I think. But the thing that really the reason why I would want people to just continue to do these kind of things is just, I don't know, the bonding that we've had, and call it two-wheel therapy, call it whatever you want, just processing life's issues, right? I mean, a couple divorces that I feel like we just processed for everyone along the way. I mean, Mike lost a job, I lost a job. Just the things that kind of life shoots at you. To me, this has been the best part of it all, right? Is just really enjoying everyone's company, and I don't know. That's what I think of, I guess.
Oh, for sure. I just remember, both Chris and myself were going through divorces.
It was like year after the first year, and then the next year. Yeah.
And we were just on rides just as those things were happening, and it was just nice to spend 3, 4, 5 days talking on the headsets as we rode across the country. And
you and I, there was a large kind of a natural disaster, the big derecho that tore everything up, and you and I left and went down and did a ride, just the two of us, and kind of the same thing. I mean, you just, I don't know, you get away from it all and really just unplug, and that's probably for me been one of the best, coolest things, is you really just get to know people then, I mean, and then I think that's what's really grown together more. And now, I mean, I think of Chris's father passing away here recently. We all just went to the funeral, and that would have not been something that most of you would have probably went, but the rest of us wouldn't have went. And it's just cool. Something I would definitely miss.
Well, and you did the same for me when my dad passed away. You and Brad, showed up in Illinois for us. That was awesome.
So I mean, when we talk about the bottom line today, just finding a group of people, and for us, the motorcycle has just been the place that bonds us together. And we really, I know last year you didn't get a ride as much as you wanted, and I can, it hurt. You don't, you feel bad. I kind of took a year off, and you guys went to Nashville that year, and I missed it. Like you missed doing it. So I don't know. It's great, and that's one of the best parts of it all, I think, for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like behind the scenes, we've talked about this a little bit. But, we're in a garage that's not well heated, right now in January in Iowa. But, we just kind of started off not knowing really what we were doing. I'd read some information about how to do a podcast, I guess. And we kind of decided maybe we should record video and try to do our best with it. But we just kind of learned it as we go, I guess.
Yeah.
I think we've changed the way we speak and what we talk about some of the times. And I would just say, if you're ever curious, you should just try it. There's many ways you can do it. We kind of decided to do it in person, but you could do it a bunch of different ways.
Oh, yeah, you could do a Zoom call, a conference call, and have multiple people on the screen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. But the relationships really have just evolved over time. It becomes like, I think we were talking about that, is you really just get embedded with each other's lives. You know, I don't know, like it's funny.
It really is. It's been fantastic. Yeah, wouldn't have done it any other way. Couldn't have done it without you.
This is a section we call the Toolkit. We share motorcycle gear review, and other riding tips. You know, for this section. And I was just thinking of some of the stuff that we use to research a little bit of some of these rides. And I was thinking two things is one, just taking photos every time you stop. We look at those photos and we don't take as many as we should. And it's so easy now with the phones having I mean, when we first started, there was no, the first year, there wasn't such a thing as a smartphone. And I remember taking like a little digital camera and holding it up and taking pictures as we rode. And I remember a couple years after that mounting like a DSLR-like camera with like a RAM mount. But boy, has that evolved. And now, but even just the pictures that we take when we're stopping, I think. So just, and then finding a place to share the photos, because that's the hard part. Like, you don't have some, I have some, you know, and I don't think it matters what it is, but if you can just find that. But you've started, and we need to do a better job of filling in the blanks, but almost just like a ride report that we wrote up.
I went into Google Drive and I made a folder for each year, a directory for each year. I labeled the directory, you know, 2009, and then what the name of the trip was, the theme, or where we went. Or actually it started 2007. I got the route. But anyway, so I've got a folder for each one of those, and then within that, I've got a Google Doc. It starts with the dates of the ride, then who was on the ride, where it was, you know, the states, the theme, and then, you know, a narrative about it. Now, I didn't get it all done because I only started that a few years ago, and that's back when the timeline was still kept up on my computer, and now the timeline hasn't. They've cut it off. It's only on your phone.
Google timeline.
The Google timeline.
Yeah.
So when I was starting to write it up, at least I could find all the places where we had been, and so I did catch up on a few of those, but I still have some that are blank. But at least I do have the photos. Like I collected people's photos. So I've got within that folder, I've got the Google Doc with, you know, the write up of the trip, and then a bunch of the photos are in there as well. So we can kind of piece together.
We need to go back and like
fill it in,
reconfigure that, because like it is really great when we go looking at them.
I
know, like I always think, that's a great idea, but then don't do it anymore.
Just don't do it.
So just maybe just a diary, you know, like that was what I was calling it, like a little diary. And it seems like we remember more things when we get together. And then it is important that Google Timeline, we've used that numerous times to help us think about the things that we've done. So
they're just not sharing it across devices now, which makes it
seems
rough.
a little pain.
Another
weird one is I've collected some of the, maybe this because I've had so many motorcycles, but I've just collected some of the badges, side covers off some of the old bikes. It's just kind of a cool thing. I always figured sometime maybe I'd hang it up on a wall. You know, a lot of the older bikes have side covers. So like I have one from a Nighthawk. I have one from an Interceptor, which I had a Goldwing one. I don't know. They're just kind of a cool memory. They'd look cool. You could, I don't know, put LEDs or something behind them. When we're old and we can't ride anymore, then I can have that on a wall maybe or something. But.
And for a little while I was collecting some motorcycle size license plates from some of the states that we
that's a good
visited.
Idea.
So my idea was at some point I was going to cut them into the shape of the state they were from, and then build a big map up on the wall. So it'd all be pieces of license
plates. 3 states you've been in? No, I'm kidding. No, that's a cool idea. I love it.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten to it. And I don't have all the license plates from all the states. So we've ridden in, or I just have to order them. Or, you know, like
eBay.
Go on to eBay or something and find them. Because I basically
that's a cool idea.
Which states we've been to.
Yeah,
and then you just cut the shape of the state out of the license plate. But someday. All these plans we have that we never get done, right?
And then the other thing I came up with was, you know, you can get anything printed on anything anymore. But one of the cooler ones, maybe it's just because it's like metal, but you can get these metal signs printed. They're kind of just small signs, but they just look cool because they're kind of like printed on metal. And just some of the cooler photos that we have. We've got some good photos every once in a while of like the whole of us, you know, our whole group. I don't know where that one photo's at, but think we were in Minnesota somewhere, and it was a really cool like causeway area. I remember and that was a good photo. I just always remember. So yeah, that's kind of what I had for the toolkit. But yeah,
those are great ideas.
Yeah, so I think just again encourage you to get out there, ride motorcycles, have some fun, but just do it with more than. I mean, there's a lot of people like to ride by themselves, but the whole point of this is just to have that crew that you're hanging out with.
Yeah, it's the friendships, it's the camaraderie, it's the just bonding with some friends and
nutty stories and
nutty stories. It's stuff you'll talk about for years. That's the thing, I don't think I would talk about my own treks, on my own motorcycle by myself.
Right.
Because who cares? I could make anything up, but to have some memories with people is a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. If you like the podcast today, please like and subscribe or sign up for our BMR Rider Alerts. It's our way of keeping you in the loop, and we promise no spam.
Keep the spirit of adventure alive, and remember, bikes, friends, and endless roads, the stories ride forever. Take care.